We don't need you for the holidays this year, sweetie. Your brother and his wife need the space more than you do. Those words came through the phone on a cold November afternoon while I was grading papers at my tiny apartment. I was 25 years old, working as a substitute teacher, barely making ends meet. My mother's voice was casual, like she was discussing the weather. Not like she was uninviting her own daughter from Thanksgiving. "Got it," I said. My voice didn't shake. I didn't cry. I just hung up. That was 3 weeks ago. Now I'm standing outside my childhood home on Thanksgiving Day, watching through the front window as my family laughs around the dinner table. My brother Jason sits at the head, where Dad used to sit before he passed. His wife Michelle is serving the turkey, wearing my grandmother's apron. The one that was supposed to be mine. I didn't come here to beg. I didn't come here to cry at the door like some pathetic stranger. I came because my lawyer told me I had to be here, in person, at exactly 6 p.m. "Are you sure about this?" Attorney Morrison asks from beside me. She's holding a leather briefcase, her expression unreadable. "I've never been more sure of anything in my life," I whisper. My mother appears in the window, wineglass in hand, laughing at something Michelle said. She looks so happy, so complete. Like she didn't abandon her youngest daughter 3 weeks ago without a second thought. Like the past 25 years meant nothing. I ring the doorbell and everything is about to change. The door swings open and my brother Jason stands there, fork still in hand. His face goes from annoyed to shocked in half a second. "What the hell are you doing here?" he says, blocking the doorway with his body like I'm some kind of intruder. "I'm here for the reading," I say calmly. Attorney Morrison steps forward, her heels clicking on the porch. She's wearing a sharp black suit that makes her look like she means business. "Reading? What reading?" Jason's voice gets louder, and suddenly my mother appears behind him, her face flushing red. "You need to leave. Right now!" Mom hisses at me, her eyes darting to the dining room where I can see Michelle and my Aunt Barbara watching through the doorway. "This is family time." "That's exactly why I'm here," Attorney Morrison interrupts smoothly. "I'm Rebecca Morrison, estate attorney for the late Margaret Chen. I have a legal obligation to read her last will and testament in the presence of all named beneficiaries. Today, at 6 p.m., as specified in her instructions. My grandmother, my dad's mother, she died 6 months ago at 92 years old, sharp as a knife until her last breath. I was the only one who visited her every week at the nursing home. The only one who held her hand when she was scared. The only one who listened to her stories about immigrating from Taiwan, about building a life from nothing. Grandma Margaret's will was already read, my mother snaps, but her voice wavers slightly. "This is ridiculous." "That was the preliminary reading for immediate funeral expenses," Morrison says, opening her briefcase. "This is the official reading. All beneficiaries must be present, or the estate enters probate litigation. Your choice." The silence stretches like a rubber band about to snap. I can see Michelle whispering something to my Aunt Barbara. I can feel my heart hammering against my ribs, but I keep my face neutral. Jason steps aside, and I walk into the house that no longer wants me. The dining room falls silent as I walk in. 8 faces turn toward me like I'm a ghost crashing their perfect holiday. Michelle's hand freezes halfway to her mouth, fork suspended in midair. My Aunt Barbara looks between my mother and me, confused. "This is unbelievable," Michelle mutters, loud enough for everyone to hear. Of course she shows up when there's money involved. Attorney Morrison sets her briefcase on the empty chair, the one that would have been mine, and pulls out a thick manila envelope. "Let's keep this professional, shall we?" My mother sits down heavily, gripping her wine glass so hard I think it might shatter. Jason stands behind her chair like a bodyguard, his jaw clenched. This is the same brother who used to protect me from bullies in middle school. The same brother who promised Dad he'd always look after me. That brother died somewhere along the way, maybe when he married Michelle 3 years ago. Maybe when Mom started treating his wife like the daughter she actually wanted. Margaret Chen's estate consists of several assets, Morrison begins, adjusting her glasses. The primary asset is the property at 1847 Rosewood Drive, currently valued at approximately $890,000. I hear my mother's sharp intake of breath. Rosewood Drive, that's Grandma's house. The beautiful craftsman with the wraparound porch where I spent every summer as a kid. Where Grandma taught me to make dumplings from scratch. Where she told me stories about my grandfather and showed me photos of Taiwan. There are also investment accounts, savings bonds, and a stock portfolio totaling approximately $340,000, Morrison continues. And one additional asset that will be revealed momentarily. Who gets the house? Michelle demands, leaning forward. Her eyes are hungry, greedy. I remember when Jason first brought her home, how she walked through our house touching everything, asking how much things cost. Morrison looks directly at me. Everything goes to Emily Chen, Margaret's granddaughter. The sole heir. The wine glass shatters in my mother's hand. Red wine spreads across the white tablecloth like blood. My mother doesn't even look at her hand, doesn't notice the wine dripping onto her lap. She's staring at me with an expression I've never seen before. Pure, undiluted rage mixed with something that looks like betrayal. That's impossible, Jason says, his voice hollow. Mom said Grandma was leaving everything to be split between us. That's what she told us 6 months ago. Your mother told you that, Morrison says carefully. Margaret Chen did not. Michelle jumps to her feet, her chair screeching against the hardwood. This is bullshit. Emily barely even visited her. We were planning to use that house for our family. For the kids we're going to have. I visited Grandma every single Wednesday for 4 years, I say quietly. And my voice cuts through Michelle's tantrum like a blade. Every single week, I read to her. I brought her favorite mochi from the Asian market downtown. I held her hand when she cried about missing Grandpa. You manipulated a dying old woman, my mother screams, standing up so fast her chair falls backward. You poisoned her against her own son's family. Against me! Aunt Barbara touches Mom's arm. Linda, calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. Mom whirls on her. My daughter conspired against us. She stole my son's inheritance. Your son? The words are out of my mouth before I can stop them. Funny how I stopped being your daughter the moment Jason got married. Funny how you forgot I existed until there was money involved. We invited you to things, Jason says weakly, but he won't meet my eyes. You invited me to your wedding as a guest, I say. Not as your sister. Michelle's 3 cousins were bridesmaids. Her college roommate was a bridesmaid, but not me. And when I asked why, you know what you said? He's silent. You said Michelle didn't think we were close enough. Your own sister. Morrison clears her throat. There's more to the will. Margaret left a letter. She pulls out an envelope with my name written in Grandma's shaky handwriting, and I feel my eyes burn with tears. Morrison hands me the envelope. My hands tremble as I open it, and Grandma's familiar lavender scent drifts out. She always kept sachets in her stationery drawer. The letter is written in her careful, old-fashioned cursive. Read it out loud, Michelle demands. If this is some kind of setup, we deserve to hear it. I look at Morrison, and she nods. It's your choice, Emily, but Margaret did want the family to understand her decision. I unfold the paper, and my voice cracks on the first words. My dearest Emily. Of course it starts like that, Michelle mutters. Jason touches her shoulder, but she shakes him off. I continue. By the time you read this, I'll be gone. I hope I taught you that family isn't just blood, it's who shows up. Who stays? Who loves you when you're no longer useful or convenient? My mother makes a sound like she's been slapped. I watched my son forget you, I read, and tears blur the words. I watched your mother choose a daughter-in-law over her own child. I watched you become invisible in your own family, and it broke my heart because I know what that feels like. I was the unwanted daughter-in-law once too. The immigrant, the outsider, the one who was never quite good enough. The room is completely silent now except for my voice. You were the only one who saw me as a person, not as a bank account or a future inheritance. You cried with me when I missed your grandfather. You learned to make my recipes not because you wanted something, but because you wanted to know me. You asked about Taiwan, about my childhood, about my dreams. You treated me like I mattered. I have to stop. My throat is closing up. Attorney Morrison hands me a tissue and I press it against my eyes. Keep going, Aunt Barbara says softly. She's crying too. The house on Rosewood Drive holds 70 years of my memories. I want it to hold yours too. Build a life there, Emily. Fill it with love. And remember that you were enough. You were always enough. I fold the letter carefully, and when I look up, my mother's face is twisted with something between shame and fury. This is emotional manipulation, my mother says, but her voice shakes. She was senile. She didn't know what she was doing. Margaret Chen was evaluated by 2 independent physicians 4 months before her death, Morrison says, pulling out documents. Both confirmed she was of sound mind and body. She knew exactly what she was doing. Jason sinks into a chair, his face pale. I didn't know you felt that way. About the wedding. About everything. You didn't ask, I say simply. Nobody asked. I just stopped existing for all of you. Michelle crosses her arms. So what, you're taking everything? Over $1 million? That's not fair to Jason. He's her grandson too. Margaret had 2 grandchildren, Morrison corrects. She chose to leave her estate to one. That's her legal right. We'll contest it, my mother says firmly. We'll fight this in court. No judge will allow a 25-year-old to manipulate an elderly woman. Mom, stop. The voice comes from the doorway, and everyone turns. My cousin Derek stands there, still in his Navy uniform. He must have just arrived. He's holding his duffel bag, staring at the scene with disgust on his face. I heard everything from the hallway. This is pathetic. Derek, you don't understand. Aunt Barbara starts. I understand perfectly, he says, dropping his bag. I understand that Emily was uninvited from Thanksgiving. I got the group text, Aunt Linda, the one where you said, it's just easier without her this year. I screenshot it. My mother's face drains of color. I understand that when Grandma Margaret was dying, Emily was there every day that last week. I visited once and Emily was reading to her, holding her hand, sleeping in that uncomfortable hospital chair. Where were you, Aunt Linda? Where were you, Jason? We had the business to run, Jason starts weakly. Bullshit, Derek cuts him off. You had excuses. Emily had love. He walks over to me and puts his hand on my shoulder. I'm glad Grandma left everything to you. You earned it by being a decent human being. Michelle slams her hand on the table, and her voice turns venomous. This isn't over, Emily. Not even close. Are you threatening my client? Morrison asks, her voice ice cold. She pulls out her phone. Because I'm happy to record this conversation and add it to our legal file. Michelle's face flushes, but she doesn't back down. I'm saying that family takes care of family, and Emily clearly isn't family anymore. You're right, I say, and my voice is steady now. Strong. I'm not your family. I haven't been for a long time. You made that clear. Emily, Jason starts, but I hold up my hand. Do you remember Dad's funeral? I ask him. I was 22. I completely fell apart during the service. I couldn't even stand up to speak. And you know who held me? Who got me through that day? Jason looks down. Grandma Margaret. She held me for 3 hours while I sobbed. She told me stories about Dad as a little boy. She made me tea and sat with me in silence when I couldn't talk anymore. My voice gets louder. And where was Mom? She was with Michelle, planning the reception menu, making sure everything looked perfect for the guests. That's not fair, my mother whispers. I was grieving too. You were performing, I say. There's a difference. Aunt Barbara stands up slowly. Linda, is this true? About the group text? My mother's silence is answer enough. Show me, Aunt Barbara says to Derek. He pulls out his phone and hands it to her. I watch her face change as she reads, her expression moving from confusion to horror to disgust. It's just easier without her this year? Aunt Barbara reads aloud. Michelle needs space to feel like the primary daughter? Linda, what the hell is wrong with you? Barbara, you don't understand the dynamics. I understand that you erased your own child to make your daughter-in-law comfortable. Aunt Barbara's voice rises. I understand that you're exactly like your own mother-in-law was to you. The one you complained about for 20 years. You became her. The words land like a bomb. My mother staggers backward, her hand pressed to her chest. Morrison pulls another document from her briefcase. There's one more thing. Margaret established a trust. Emily, your grandmother also left you her jewelry collection, including her jade ring from Taiwan and her grandmother's gold bracelet. The bracelet. My mother has been wearing on her wrist for the past 6 months. My mother's hand flies to her wrist, covering the delicate gold bracelet. Margaret gave this to me? She said I should have it. Margaret said no such thing, Morrison replies, consulting her notes. According to the trust documentation filed 8 months ago, that bracelet was specifically designated for Emily Chen. Mrs. Linda Chen, did Margaret physically hand you that bracelet, or did you take it from her belongings? The silence is deafening. I found it in her jewelry box after she passed, my mother stammers. I assumed she would have wanted me to have it. I'm her daughter-in-law. I was family. You stole it, I say flatly. You went through her things and took what you wanted. I didn't steal anything, my mother shouts. I took care of her for years. I visited her. You visited her 4 times in 4 years, Derek says, still holding his phone. I kept track because Grandma used to mention it. She'd say, Linda came by today like it was Christmas morning. That's how rare it was. Michelle steps toward Morrison aggressively. So what? Emily gets to come in here, take over $1 million, and humiliate us in our own home? This isn't your home, I say quietly. This is my childhood home. The one I'm no longer welcome in, remember? Jason finally speaks and he sounds broken. I'm sorry. I really am. I didn't realize. I didn't see what was happening. Yes, you did, I tell him, and I feel surprisingly calm. You just didn't care enough to stop it. There's a difference between not knowing and not wanting to know. Morrison extends her hand toward my mother. The bracelet, please. It's estate property. No, my mother says, clenching her fist. This is ridiculous. I'm not giving her anything else. Then I'll file a police report for theft of estate property, Morrison says, pulling out her phone. Your choice. We can do this civilly, or we can involve law enforcement. Aunt Barbara stands up and walks to my mother. Linda, give her the bracelet. You've done enough damage. You're taking her side? My mother asks, betrayed. I'm taking the side of basic human decency, Aunt Barbara says. Something you seem to have lost. My mother's hands shake as she unclasps the bracelet. She throws it on the table where it lands with a soft clink. Take it. Take everything. I hope you choke on it. I pick up the bracelet carefully, remembering how Grandma would tell me stories about her grandmother in Taiwan who wore it every day, how it survived a war, an ocean crossing, and 70 years in America. Morrison hands me one final envelope. And this is a letter Margaret left for your mother. I hand it to Mom, and when she opens it, her face goes completely white. My mother's hands tremble as she reads the letter. I can see her lips moving silently, her eyes scanning back and forth across the page. Then she looks up at me, and for the first time in years, I see something other than indifference in her eyes. I see fear. What does it say? Michelle demands, trying to grab the letter. My mother pulls it away, folding it quickly. Nothing, she whispers. It's nothing. It's clearly something, Derek says. Let's hear it. No, my mother says firmly, but her voice cracks. She looks at me desperately. Emily, please. Don't make me read this out loud. For a moment, I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. Then I remember the phone call. We don't need you for the holidays. I remember every birthday she forgot, every achievement she ignored, every time she chose Michelle over me. Read it, I say. Or I will. Attorney Morrison nods. The letter was meant to be shared with the family. Those were Margaret's wishes. My mother closes her eyes, takes a shaky breath, and begins to read in a broken voice. Linda, by now you know what I've done. You're probably angry. You probably think I'm punishing you. But this isn't punishment. It's a mirror. Jason sits down slowly, watching our mother with a confused expression. Mom continues, her voice barely audible. I watched you erase your daughter the same way my mother-in-law tried to erase me. I stayed silent for too long, hoping you'd wake up and see what you were doing. But you never did. You chose comfort over your child. You chose acceptance from a daughter-in-law over the daughter you gave birth to. Michelle shifts uncomfortably, crossing her arms tighter. Emily reminds me of myself at her age, my mother reads, and tears start falling down her cheeks. Hungry for love from people who should have given it freely, working twice as hard for half the recognition. I will not let her make the same mistakes I did. I will not let her spend her life begging for crumbs of affection from people who should feast her with love. The words hang in the air like smoke. My estate goes to Emily because she earned it with presence, not blood. Because she saw me when I was invisible. Because she loved me when I was no longer useful. My mother's voice breaks completely. And Linda, I hope you read this and feel what Emily has felt for 3 years. I hope you understand what it means to be erased. To be replaced. To be told you don't matter. She stops reading, her whole body shaking. There's more, Morrison says gently. Mom shakes her head, but I take the letter from her hands. My voice is steady as I read the final paragraph. I forgive you, Linda. But forgiveness doesn't mean Emily has to forget. She deserves better than what you gave her. And perhaps losing everything will teach you what she's known all along, that love cannot be inherited. It must be earned. I fold the letter carefully, and Jason puts his head in his hands and starts to cry. The dining room is silent except for Jason's quiet sobs. Michelle stands frozen, her earlier aggression completely deflated. My mother stares at the table, tears streaming down her face, not bothering to wipe them away. I didn't mean, she starts, then stops. I thought I was doing the right thing. Making peace, making everyone happy. Everyone except me, I say softly. Aunt Barbara walks over and hugs me tightly. Your grandmother was a wise woman. I'm proud of you, Emily. Derek picks up his duffel bag. I'm staying at a hotel tonight. Emily, call me if you need anything. Anything at all. He glares at my mother and Jason before walking out. Morrison packs up her briefcase efficiently. Emily, we'll schedule a meeting next week to transfer the property titles and accounts. The house is vacant and ready whenever you want to move in. She hands me her card. Congratulations, your grandmother loved you very much. After she leaves, I stand there facing my family one last time. Jason looks up at me with red, swollen eyes. I'm so sorry. I'll do better. I promise I'll do better. Maybe you will, I say. But I won't be around to see it. I'm done waiting for people to choose me. Michelle finally speaks and her voice is small. I didn't realize. I never thought about how you felt. That's the problem, I tell her. You never thought about me at all. I clasp Grandma's bracelet around my wrist. It fits perfectly, like it was always meant to be mine. I pick up the jade ring from the table and slip it onto my finger, the ring Grandma wore every single day of her life. My mother stands up shakily. Emily, can we talk? Just you and me, please? I look at her for a long moment. This woman who gave birth to me, who used to braid my hair and read me bedtime stories. This woman who forgot I existed the moment someone shinier came along. Maybe someday, I say. But not today. Not for a long time. I walk toward the front door and nobody tries to stop me. As I reach for the handle, I turn back one last time. Grandma once told me that the most expensive thing you can give someone is your time, because you can never get it back. I gave you all my time, my love, my loyalty, and you threw it away like garbage. I pause, letting the words sink in. I hope someday you understand what you lost. Not the money, not the house, me. I walk out into the cold November night, and for the first time in 3 years, I feel free. The door closes behind me with a soft click, and I stand on the porch breathing in the crisp air. My phone buzzes, a text from Derek. Proud of you, cuz. Thanksgiving at my hotel? I ordered pizza. I smile and text back. Be there in 20. As I walk to my car, I touch the bracelet on my wrist and whisper, Thank you, Grandma. For seeing me, for saving me, for teaching me that I was always enough. Tomorrow I'll start packing. Next week, I'll move into the Rosewood Drive house and begin filling it with my own memories. But tonight, I'll have pizza with the one family member who never forgot my name. And that's more than enough.